Hello, hello. Happy Wednesday, everyone. Oh, we're gonna make a fun card today. It's a fun fold. I just I participated in a fun weekend retreat and we learned so many techniques, so many folds. My mind is spinning with ideas and I can't wait to share them with you. So today we're going to use this Wildflower Designs stamp set. I love this. If you remember our paper pumpkin from about 6 months ago, it had this flower in it, and it looks like one of those that you blow, right? And make a wish. And so I loved it, and so I thought that reminded me so much of that from that stamp set, or from that kit. And then the dies are what really sold me on this set. So of course you get these 4 images here, these 4 dies, which cut out these 4 images here. You get an extra background stamp, and then we have our sentiments. But then we have all of these dies. So I pre-cut a bunch of them because I know I've heard from a few of you that you have really loved when I showed you what the dies actually do, right? Because sometimes it's hard to see from just the metal dies. So we have this one here that I have cut out. So this one you can stamp your sentiments on. It's great for that purpose. We're going to use this one today. Then we have this beautiful scalloped die. And so what's really fun about this is when you die cut this, it's actually going to die cut these 2 pieces. So it's going to die cut the outer and the inside piece here. And so you could use one or the other, or you could use both. We're going to use both today on today's card. This is that basic beige, the new basic beige, which I'm loving. So that's how that piece goes. And then what's great is you can really layer a lot of these pieces. So, you know, you have your basic beige here, but then you also have this piece here that you could layer in that. You could do a lot of popping up, a lot of fun things with just those dies. And then we have this great big die here, which is fun. A fun border die. And so when you cut this one out, let me grab those pieces, it's going to give you these pieces here. So it's going to give you the outside if you wanted to do like some sponging with that negative. It's going to give you this piece, which is kind of that border. And then let me find it here in my pile. It's also going to give you this inside piece. So, I mean, it's going to give you, with all of these together, let's just go in and layer all of these. Look at all these beautiful layers that you can get just from these 3 dies. You can get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different layers from just these 3 dies. So many options. I have loved playing with these dies. They are so fun. I love the designs. They sort of look like a beehive, so you know I love that. But I love those. So let me show you today's card. So here is today's card. We are focusing on lots of stamping and using these as our background images here, using our layering in our pieces. And one of the fun cards that we learned, one of the fun folds we learned this weekend was, I call it a flip-flop fold. So look, when you open it, it's gonna flip and flop. So this piece is gonna be on the outside, but then it's also gonna be on the inside. And it was so fun to watch. It was so fun to make. I just had to quick implement it for today's card because it was so fun. So let's start. Let me clear the space here. Let's start by making this base because that really is the bones of this card, right? So I'm going to bring in my paper trimmer here and a piece of basic black. So remember, as always, this measurements on all the step-by-step instructions are going to be on my blog at stampinqueenbee.com, and you can also get it sent right to your inbox every single week if you're subscribed to my Buzz Bulletin. That's my weekly email that I send out, and I don't bombard you. It's just once a week, and it comes with, you know, any announcements and things, but it also comes with a free printable PDF tutorial with all the supply list for each project each week, the step-by-step instructions, and all of the measurements. So we're just gonna cut our paper in half there, so we've got our half base, and then we're gonna do some scoring here. So we're gonna score this 2 times. We're gonna make sure on our trimmer here that we're using our score blade and not our cutting blade. And then we're gonna score it once more. So we've got 2 scores now. And then on this shorter score, we're actually going to cut in. So on our paper trimmer, we're just gonna cut in, and here's our score line, which you may not be able to see on the camera, but I want to point out that our score line is here, and on the side of your blade, you can actually line up. There is a line here. If you line that up with the score, what that's gonna do is it's gonna help you to cut directly down to this score line without going past it. And then we're gonna do the same thing on our other side here. Just looking right at that. So we've kind of got this going on now, right? So now we're done with our paper trimmer. You can use it to cut this next part, but I have found it easier just to use my paper snips. So I'm just gonna do 2 quick little cuts right here on the score line. There we go. Save those for our next project. And then using our bone folder here, we're going to score this or burnish it on this first score line. And then we're gonna fold this back, kind of accordion style, right? And burnish that one. So this piece here is gonna kind of be that piece that helps our layering to flip and flop. That's what I'm calling it, a flip-flop card, a flip-flop fold. Okay, so that's our base. We're gonna set this aside for a few minutes. And now we're gonna get to some stamping. So I've already got 3 pieces here cut of our basic beige, my new favorite color. I love it. So we're gonna bring in one of our stamps. This is the bigger Wildflower stamp and our Memento black ink here. This is gonna be our inside piece. So we'll start with that. We're gonna ink up our flower here. And I always double check it just to make sure we've got ink everywhere on there, right? And so we're just gonna stamp this along our edge here. So there's no right or wrong way. We're just gonna kind of flip-flop these. Make sure we've got ink all on there. And I'm just doing them along the edge because I know this is gonna show in our card here, in our opening. So for this one, I just wanna kind of do it along the edge, then I can write my message there. So this piece will go right inside once we attach that. So see how you can see that? So we're just going right along that edge. Okay, now we're gonna do our 2 inside pieces. And these we're gonna kind of create our own designer series paper. So we're gonna, instead of using some fun paper for this one, we're gonna create our own. So we're just gonna stamp this all over both of our pieces here. Just kind of creating our own background. So we've got that one. And then we'll do the same thing here. And see, I'm just turning my stamp, just kind of going in all the directions here. I love making my own paper. This one kind of straight on, and then let's do just a little bit right there. Okay, so now we've got those two pieces. So we'll set aside our ink there. So let's bring in some liquid glue, and we're just going to glue all these pieces to our base. So the first one goes right on the inside. So we're just gonna center that. And I always have loved a black and white card, and even black and very vanilla. And now we have this basic beige, and I think basic beige and black is such a fun card as well. So then this piece, these two pieces, we're gonna put on both of the other panels. You could use designer series paper here if you wanted to as well. So for today's, we're just kind of creating our own. And then we're gonna put this one right on the other side here. We're gonna center that right on. So far, so easy, right? So we've got our card, it's gonna close like that. We'll put our base on, and then it's gonna open just like so. How fun, right? Stamps, ink, and paper. I love those kind of cards. So we'll let that dry. And now we're gonna work on this piece here. So this is where all those die cuts I showed you in the beginning are gonna come in handy. So we're gonna use our big piece here. Then we're gonna use our outline border. We're gonna use the inside piece of that border. And then we're gonna use our middle piece here, okay? So the first thing we're gonna do is with this black piece, we are gonna center this on. I know that it sticks out, but I'm gonna share with you a little secret that has made it easy for me. Okay, so we want this kind of centered on there. So I am just gonna take some liquid glue everywhere but those corners. And then I'm just gonna line the top and the bottom of this piece up. And then I'm gonna scoochy it so I can see when this piece is kind of centered on my card. And I'm just gonna hold that down for a second so that it can adhere good. And you can see, so now that creates that flip-flop portion of our card. So you could absolutely do a square here, rectangle, or any kind of piece. I loved this one since it was different. And so instead of trying to measure out those sides, this is what I did. I just flipped it over, or flipped it like this, and just with my snips went right along those two edges. So now it's lined up perfectly, right? And that is how I created that piece. So now that that's all adhered, we're gonna go ahead and adhere our frame and the inside piece next, both with liquid glue. So for this piece, you could use some liquid adhesive on the back, or some adhesive sheets on the back when you die cut. But for this one, I'm just gonna dot just a tiny bit. The reason I didn't do an adhesive sheet for this one is personal preference, really, but there are all these little, not holes, but lines, and since they are kind of see-through, the liquid adhesive sheet, when I tried that, it kind of seeped through those little lines, the little decorative lines there. So when I did it with the liquid glue, it didn't seem to do that. So just personal preference on that. So that one's all glued down. This one, we're gonna do the same thing. Little liquid adhesive on there. And we'll just center this right back inside. You could also pop this up. We're gonna pop up the next layer. So that's why I'm just gluing this one down. Give it a little tummy rub there. And look, that is really the base of our whole card, the flipping and the flopping. Isn't that such a fun card? So now let's do our sentiment. So for this one, I'm gonna use this basic white. Remember this is, so these first two, the black one here is this outside, it's the inside piece of this larger die. This one here is gonna be the scalloped die, and it's gonna be the outer layer, and then this piece that the negative piece, I just used it again and put that right back in. And then the white piece we're gonna be using is this inside piece here. Okay, so we're gonna stamp on this one. So we're gonna use some basic beige first. And we're gonna stamp this flower just kind of on the edge there. So one thing I want you to note with this basic beige is when you first stamp it, it does have like a green tint to it. And as it dries, it's gonna lighten up a lot because you can see even just the difference in the two. This is when it's dry, and this is when you first stamp it. So it's lightening up already, but it does have a little bit of a green tint to it until it dries. So just know, the first time I did, I was like, oh. Then we're gonna do our sentiment. So for this card, I'm doing the You've Been On My Mind. That's from this stamp set. We're gonna ink that up in some black here. Make sure it's all inked. There we go. And I'm just gonna line this up onto my grid paper here and stamp this right in the middle. There we go. You've been on my mind. And for this, we're gonna pop it up with some of our dimensionals here. So we've got a new sheet of dimensionals, and we're just gonna go ahead and put those right on the back here. And then our easy flip-flop card is almost done. I love that it's a wow effect card, but you know, it doesn't take a lot of time. It's not complicated like some are super complicated, right? But it does give that really wow effect. So then we're just gonna go ahead and center this on with those dimensionals. And there is our flip flop opening card. Now, of course, it needs some bling. And so I chose to use these iridescent foil gem embellishments. So they kind of take on a bunch of different colors. They go great with crumb cake, they go great with wild wheat, but they also take on kind of a basic beige or a gold. They are beautiful because they have all these little specks inside of them that really kind of take on some different colors. So we're going to use a few of these today. So we're going to put two kind of on this bottom, and then one more kind of on this top. Okay, and there we have our beautiful, easy, You've Been On My Mind flip-flop fun card using mostly just stamps, ink, and paper. So that is my favorite when we can really get the most use out of our beautiful stamps. So again, you can find all these measurements, step-by-step instructions on my blog at stampinqueenbee.com, and they will go out tomorrow on our weekly Buzz Bulletin. If you are subscribed to that, email will go out tomorrow. So happy Wednesday, and I will see you guys next week.